Welcome to El Dorado Springs. We're going to check out this town of about 3,500 people, standing at the top of the hill here by the post office. And it's got a really cool looking downtown, some awesome buildings. I'm here on a Sunday, and a lot of times businesses aren't open on Sundays, but there's still plenty of traffic. And there's, like I said, a few thousand people here. So let's take a walk down the hill, check out the downtown, and learn about the history of El Dorado Springs. El Dorado Springs is the largest town in Cedar County, Missouri, which is basically in the southwestern part of the state, and El Dorado Springs is in the northeast corner of the county. Cedar County as a whole has a population of 14,000, and the county seat is Stockton, which has about 1,700 people. So it's about twice as big as the county seat. The eastern red cedar is a common tree of the area, and that's how the county got its name, Cedar County. El Dorado Springs was founded because of a spring thought to have medicinal value. The Osage Indians had known of the healing powers of the spring, and they had for some time brought their sick and wounded to the spring. Then a local farmer was taking his wife to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, due to her poor health. And then they stopped at El Dorado Springs for a night. They intended to only stay one night here. As they drank from the spring, she began to feel better. So they stayed at the spring here for a total of 12 days. Her health was so improved, they went ahead and just returned to their farm instead of going on to Eureka Springs. After they returned home, word of the healing power of the springs quickly spread. It was spread by word of mouth and by local newspapers. Soon people were flocking to the area to camp and benefit from the water's restorative healing powers. This land was owned by the Cruz brothers, and they lived several miles away to the northeast. The Cruz brothers heard of this excitement surrounding the recovery of the farmer's wife, and then when they arrived to the area, they found hundreds of people camped around using the spring. They then realized that this would be an excellent spot for a formation of a town. The brothers set the spring aside with several acres of land around it as a park in the heart of the downtown, which you can see right here. We're in the heart of the downtown, and the park is on our left. This is where the springs are. And then the incorporation of the town happened in July of 1881. It didn't take long before El Dorado Springs was a thriving community. A couple thousand people by the 1900 census. People came from miles around to drink the water and improve their health. Spas and bath houses flourished. Water was also shipped all over the world in large quantities. Other springs were found and marketed in town as well. Then the advances made in the field of medicine helped contribute to the decline of the mineral water industry. 1905, the El Dorado Springs Railway Company was formed to extend service to the resort here. The first rolling stock consisted of automobiles running on railroad wheels. In 1908, the Colorado and Southern Railroad took over the rail line. Eventually, the line was abandoned in the 1970s. See the population figures how it went up in the early 1900s to 2,500, and then after the popularity of the springs waned, it went back down, and then through the years back up. Kind of peaked in the 80s and 90s at 3,800, and it has started to decline slightly down to 3,493 today. I saw on the outskirts of town there was a little airport called the Dorado Springs Community Airport here, and there was a gentleman who lived basically at the airport in a house right next to it, and we started chatting, and he told me that there's still activity here, although the runway is not in the best of shape. You can kind of see the runway out there. They've applied for some grants to help improve the runway because they do have planes that fly in and out of there, mostly local people. And but yeah, it's a nice little airport. Later that evening, I went down to the Opera House here in El Dorado Springs because they play movies here from time to time. Thought what a great way to experience the town than to go to a 110-year-old opera house and watch a movie. Obviously, it's October, so a little bit of Halloween decor. And walking in, it was pretty cool. Not a huge theater, as you can see, all the seating there. There's a balcony that was closed off up there, so I wasn't able to explore up in the balcony. But I thought this was a really cool old theater. I love stuff like this. And you kind of see they've probably refurbished the ceiling a little bit dark in this video, but give you a good feel for it. Sitting right in the middle, good spot. And the previews, they did have some movie previews, but also commercials for local businesses. So you know you're in a smaller town when instead of previews, the main thing that they're showing are local businesses that are sponsoring the theater. So that's fun. They were showing A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original 1980s horror movie. And fun fact, right there on the right, that's Johnny Depp. This was the first movie that he ever made. El Dorado Springs is a pretty cool little town. I'm in the park, which is, if you watched when I kind of walked through downtown, is right next to all the buildings. I didn't show you the park because I wanted to show you here at the end. And man, it's pretty awesome. You know, right behind me is the springs of El Dorado Springs. I'll tell you about that in a second. But they have this big 1930s like community center type place. They built a new one over where the city hall is, but it's kind of cool how they have the park and the downtown. They had a big community center here. It's almost like looks like a courthouse in some ways, but I know it wasn't a courthouse. But in the park, they have some informational signs about like the tallgrass prairie, this part of Missouri that's just north of town. They have a fountain up there, and then they have another little fountain spring type area with actual fish in it. Nice seating area. It's just a beautiful park. And then we come over here to find the springs. And this was the actual springs of which the town was basically founded. And I did a video about Conway Springs, Kansas, a little while ago, and very similar story, and how they use that as a area to kick off the advertisement of the town, and certainly was successful to help people come and find the quote medicinal value of the springs. But this is a great town, and a little bit bigger than a lot of the towns I profile, over 3,000 people. So it should have more than the towns that have less than 1,000. But they do a really good job, and I think it's got great downtown buildings. There's obviously population. There are some businesses here. There's places to stay nearby. So definitely a really nice place to visit, and I'd recommend if you're in this part of Missouri to stop on by. Hey, do you like that hat? It's new in the merch store.